All right, everybody, we just saw some incredible traders here at the FIP compound. Make sure that you guys grab your tickets to the FX Summit 2023 conference if you want to meet all these incredible traders, if you want to meet myself and learn from the best. So we'll see you guys fxsummit2023.com. All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Expert Trader podcast series. Today, I'm joined by co-founder, CEO of The Funded Trader, Angelo Giarmello, and he's going to be walking us through the prop firm industry, the landscape today, and hopefully give you guys some tips and tricks on how to improve your trading.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Angelo, for the folks that don't know a lot about you, can you give a quick background on who you are?
Yeah, so much like most of the viewers, I got into trading through Instagram, right? So several years ago, I'm 27 now. When I was 21, I was just trying to find ways to make money online. I was always super interested in stocks, in trading, in companies, and just overall finance. And so when I was in college, I wasn't as focused, like most of you probably are now. I wasn't as focused on kind of how to make money online. So I went to school, majored in IT, got a job. And as soon as I got a job, I was like, fuck this. Like, I'm not trying to do this anymore. So I went on Instagram. I started looking at different ways to make money. One of the ways obviously was trading. It was Q Banks. I saw his Instagram page was one of the ones that caught my attention. At the time he had 20,000 followers. This was a little while ago. And I just was like hooked. I'm like, how's this guy making money? What is he doing? The persona, the confidence, right? Everything like that was super interesting. And there was a lot of other things going on in my life. Like I just was really confident. I had a lot of self-belief that could make it happen. So that's how I got into trading, like really almost everyone I talked to, right? From an influencer online, right? And I started buying courses, started getting introduced into the industry. And then, that was 5 or 6 years ago. And then obviously we're where we are now. So that's how I got into it a little bit. Yeah.
So walk us through from your time getting introduced to trading and now The Funded Trader is one of the largest prop firms in the game. So how do you get from being a trader to getting to the point where you have one of the larger prop firms?
Yeah, and I want to, I think an important part of this whole podcast, this interview, is to be like extremely transparent with our company. We're just very transparent as well. So we're going to go through a bunch of tough questions, I'm sure, on the interview. And so how I got to where I started off as a trader, started off as a business owner, similar to Roy. I started building a trading community simultaneously to trading myself, and the goal was to create multiple sources of income, right? So I had an Instagram, we had a YouTube, we started building Telegram, Discord. We felt as though, because of the fact that we were making not anything crazy, but some money with trading, that we could be leaders in the space and put together a course. And we noticed most courses were kind of like all over the place. So our whole motto, it was called Forex League, like that's our program, was treat trading like a business. So it was just, how do you do risk management? Like, how do you actually have a plan? How do you back test? Like a lot of things that like normal people aren't, or the influencer kind of isn't showing people. So yeah, I was building that. I was trading as well. Obviously at some point I got introduced to the prop firm game, which like completely changed everything. But what I will say is like, I was just constantly looking for my edge, right? Like what was my edge? And trading is so hard, right? Like trading is so difficult and so stressful. And I'm an emotional guy, I won't lie. Like it's difficult for me, right? And as I was searching for this edge, I found FTMO in like 2019, and that like changed the game for me. I was like, holy shit, I can monetize my skills. Like this platform can give me capital. At the time, I didn't have a lot of capital, right? I was just working a regular job. So I'm like, I'm all in on this. And then it turned into, there was other prop trading firms that came up that were like white labeling Trader Central Fund in the beginning. I started doing some affiliate deals with them. And all the while, I'm always just thinking, it was like, I was all in on this. Like how the fuck do I make money with trading? How the fuck do I make money with courses, everything, right? And my mentality was find a way to make money. And I believe that as I was searching for this, at some point we started doing some affiliate marketing with the prop firms, and I noticed that our audience was really, into it. So originally I was like, yo, my edge is we're going to start our own prop firm and we're going to find the best traders to trade with. That was originally, the thinking going into it. Obviously, as we know, the failure rate's a bit higher than than we realized.
So there's a lot of things about the prop firm industry that I don't think are common knowledge. So do you want to just break down the prop firm industry back then and then the prop firm industry today? So a lot of people, for example, they just know that you can pass a challenge and then maybe get this money. Can you speak a little bit about that system? How are things run today?
Yeah, so originally going into starting this business, and there was FTMO. I'll just give you a kind of brief rundown of the industry. In 2019, it was FTMO. Then in 2020, my Forex funds came out. There was also the popular funding talent, which many people got screwed over by. So that was the early industry, and Trader Central Fund. I was working with Trader Central Fund in the beginning, and what actually happened with them is they did a deal with me, and most people might know this. They did a deal with me with FXseed, where they told me, hey, go find traders and you can have them manage other people's accounts. And if they pass, we'll let the master trader trade their accounts. So I recruited some popular people that you guys may know. I'm not going to mention them by name because it's just not the right thing to do. But they were trading with us, and two of them passed 50 accounts each. So they were trading like 50 other people's accounts, and they passed both phases. And then Trader Central Fund came to me and was like, this can't happen. Like, they just failed it, right? So early on, I was like, this is fucked up. Like, they literally scammed us, right? And scammed me. I made no money, got fucked over. Everyone thought I was like a fucking scammer. And it was like a very unfortunate thing to go through. So getting into like, all right, so the thinking was, I looked at the numbers. I'm like, we can raise money through this company. Obviously, the model is people pass a challenge, fail the challenge, whatnot. We can get more into like the model. But yeah, the goal was basically we raise money through the challenge fees and also our own capital investors. It's a mix of both. And then it's like, how do we then use this money to then put it behind the people that pass and that get funded? And that's like a whole other thing. So the game from like the trader side is, if you don't know what prop trading is, guys, it's basically we give you a demo account, we give you a simulated trading account, we have rules, targets that you go by. If you guys are able to pass the rules and targets, some of them are one phase, some of them are two phases. You guys then get a funded account. With the funded account, you sign a contract with the prop firm, whichever one you work with, and you're entitled to a remuneration of the fees of whatever you make on the account. So you make $100, some of them pay 90 or some of them pay 80, depending on which one you're working with. But that's generally what it is if you don't understand what a prop firm, you don't know what a prop firm is. Yeah.
So I know a lot of people are interested in the numbers, like pass rates and fail rates, and we're going to get into that in a second. But I wanted to ask you, there's been a few companies that have gone under and people haven't been able to get their payouts out. What makes a trustable company versus one that you can't trust? What's a reputable company versus a non-reputable company in the prop firm space?
Yeah, I mean, listen, there are so many things that can go wrong with these businesses. It's so complex. Like you can ask some people that are involved now in some of the companies I'm working with, and it's like it's a lot. It's a lot to digest. So there's many ways that these companies can fail. Obviously, the number one way is they go insolvent, right? Like they literally just go insolvent. Or like from a publicity standpoint, they make a lot of the wrong decisions and people end up hating them. So yeah, I think the ultimate reason that companies are failing is due to mismanagement. From what I can see, the funding talent, I don't know too much about their situation, but from what I can surmise is there was a bit of a mismanagement there when it came to coming out with challenges, managing financials, stuff like that. So I think if any company you start a bakery, right? If you're bleeding costs all over the place, you know what I'm saying? Like the bakery's going to go under, right? If you're purchasing too much inventory, you don't have like a cash flow management strategy. There's not like risks, like someone robs your bakery every other day. You know what I'm saying? Like it's similar concept. And yeah, like I personally believe that the reason I bring up like a bakery, like the analogy is every business is really fucking hard, right? It's super difficult. Like if you're in business right now, if you're trying to start a business, like newsflash, it's fucking really hard. Right. Like it's not easy. So why not try to start a business you can make a ton of money, right? Like that's like the ultimate thing. So the prop business is super difficult, super complex. Like it's truly an organization. There's marketing, there's risk, there's operations, there's support, right? Like there's the financial aspect of like your cash management strategy. There's a lot of moving parts, and if you have the wrong management team, very very easy for companies to go under. And that's our goal with my company. We're gonna get into like what I do, like more of my companies and stuff, is to help save some of these firms.
Yep. So I've personally had a lot of great experiences with prop firms. I think prop firms have done wonders for my personal trading. And so I've seen the benefit of having access to that kind of capital. When you're looking at the back end, what are you seeing in the numbers? How many people are winning? How many people are losing? And does it still make sense for traders to go out and do these challenges?
Yeah, like it's we made a video of this, put it on our YouTube recently, just like the actual numbers, like the pass rates and stuff. We'll get into like exactly what that is, but I'll start off first. I went on ChatGPT the other day, and I said, what is the percentage of people who make it professional in tennis and basketball and football and soccer, right? Like every major sport. And every single one besides baseball. Baseball was 9%. It was like 9% of high school students that are D1 athletes get drafted, which was like nuts. But every other sport, it was 1%, right? Get to the, end up being a professional athlete. And in prop trading, at least for us, what we're seeing with one of the challenges is the pass rate on phase 1 is about 30%. The pass rate on phase 2 is about 50%, 50%. So you could surmise ultimately 10 to 15% of people are passing and getting funded. And then the likelihood of getting a payout is 30% of those people that get funded. So about 1 to 3% are making it to a payout, which is obviously nuts.
So you got the same odds of being a professional athlete as you do being a successful trader. Is that fair?
I think it's fair. It's fair to say, and the odds that you keep the account are even lower, right? So it's dude, it's not an easy thing. It's super hard, right? It's super difficult.
Something really interesting you just said is that there's still a large drop off from when somebody actually gets an account to even getting their first payout. And I've seen this with a lot of our students, and even with myself, is when you actually get the account, that's when it starts. There tends to be a feeling of like, okay, now I have access to this capital. Let me start hitting the ground running. And so where were you surprised when you started to see certain statistics and drop-offs in these challenges?
Yeah, I mean, listen, for me, it was definitely quite surprising to see the rate at which people make it to a payout. You would think it would be higher, for sure, because those are the people that pass the challenge, and most of them have a strategy. Some of them are just punting and like, just taking one trade and trying to reverse it and stuff. But like for the most part, you would think that those people would be more professional, but it's the test isn't that long, right? It's a 2-phase thing. It's really not much. You could pass in like a few trades, right? So the most surprising thing for me was just how long people keep accounts. We have people that have had accounts for like 6+ months, but those are certainly outliers. Most people get a payout and after that it's done. Especially bigger payouts. If you get a bigger payout, it just for most people, it seems to change the game psychologically for them.
Do you find any similarities between the winning traders? So the very, very few people that do end up making it and having some longevity, do you guys see any similarities in their strategy, in their risk management, in the way they approach maybe like not over trading and being highly selective? Are there any variables that are overlapping between the successful traders?
There's really only there's one thing to mention that's like the main thing. I could get into like don't risk more than 2% a day, like always use a stop loss, right? Like always have a target, like stuff like that. Like that's simple. But the one thing that I notice is the people who are super successful, they never deviate from their plan. They never deviate from their strategy. So the strategy remains consistent. Not to say they only have one setup, but they have maybe a playbook of setups, maybe 5 setups, whatever, and they're consistently taking this very similar trades on very similar pairs over and over again. What happens with the people that fail is we'll be like looking at their account and they'll be trading EU and they'll be trading swing trading style, let's just say hypothetically. And then all of a sudden they get a payout and they're like scalping gold, right? And it's like, where did this come from? And that's why it's so difficult for us to even manage the risk, because it's like you want to back this guy, but then all of a sudden he is totally different guy like next week, right? So it's like you gotta be. It's the consistency of being the same person.
This is like more of a psychology question, but do you have any idea why? Because I've always tried to figure out like why did I get the account and then go 3-4 months making profit and then blow it? Do you ever think about the reasoning for why the pressure of the challenge or the pressure of having the account leads to some of those behaviors?
Yeah, so being in the position I'm in now, because I originally was trading, right, with FTMO and stuff, and now I'm not trading at all. I'm just in the business side of things. So I'm talking with a lot of traders because we're interviewing traders. I'm doing AMAs with traders in Discord, and I'm I'm in a different area now, a different field than they are. I'm on the business side, they're in the trading side. So it's like what I'm starting to realize is people are people are so attached to the profit of what they're doing. Like they're so attached to the number, the financial, the material gain, the status of what they're doing. It comes through in almost every conversation I have with people, and if it doesn't come through, then those people are sort of more they're more successful. I tend to find, and they're more humble and like they're just more level headed. So I'm just seeing most of the people they just get excited, and like not to say that that's wrong or anything like that. I'm similar. Like I was definitely the same way with trading, like very much emotional. And I had to learn how to like get that out of my system a bit. But yeah, I'm just finding most people like they get emotional, they get attached. Like let me give you an example, right? There's one guy, he made 30K right on his funded account. It was a 100K account, 30% in a month. And this guy, like he's in the Discord like cheering. He's like, "Oh, I fuck it. Da, da, da. Like I made it. Da, da." He's like, "I almost ran through my sister's door because I wanted to tell her like what happened." And I'm just like sitting there and I'm like, this is not going to end well. Like this is like over for this guy. And I hit him up, and I'm the owner of the prop firm, and I'm like, "Listen, guy, like withdraw the money." You know what I mean? Like you seem like a good guy. Like withdraw the money. And he's like, "No, no, no. I'm gonna keep going at it." And I'm like, "Dude, all right, let's see what happens." And then he's up 30%. Now he's up 25%. Now he's up 15%. Now he's up 8%. And he's on an epic losing streak, right? And now he's like really beating himself up. Like he's like sad. He's like bitching in the thing, just like psychologically he's in ruins, right? And I'm like, "Dude, please withdraw the money." And I think he ended up withdrawing like 6K, right? And so my whole thing is it's like these people, it's just that self-destruction. It happens to a lot of beginners. It happens to even intermediate. It happens to advanced. But it's like, how do you control that self-destruction?
Yeah, I think it was easier. Like this is just my personal story is that I always felt like it was easy at some point to manage the losses, to manage my emotions when I was losing. But then when I would win, I would let myself get too excited. And you start to realize if you allow yourself to get excited during the winning seasons, then you're gonna have to accept being really down during the down seasons.
Yeah.
So you have to control your emotions in trading regardless, which is actually very interesting how you said the similarity between all the winning traders is that they're able to stick to a consistent system. They're not like, oh, let me just party hop different strategies. They just stick to one consistent system, which actually leads me to another question. Some prop firms allow automated trading. Some prop firms don't. What is your take on automated trading in general, and then how it plays into prop trading?
Yeah, so we can get into like the risks for the prop firm amongst the automated trading. The reality of the prop industry, guys, is sure everyone wants to tell you, all the prop firm owners, "Oh, we take all your trades," but it's not the reality, right? It's not realistic. The people that are taking the challenges are not giving enough, in most cases, enough data for us to confidently put the money behind everyone. And that's just the way that it is. So it's basically, how do we continue to evaluate and conduct analysis on this trading data? And there's tools that we've built that are doing this, that are assigning risk scores to traders and like whether we should be putting money behind them or not. So there's not a you get funded, there's money behind it. Like it's very much a system of who to back, who not to back, everything like that. And this is across the board. And the reason that I am confident in this, and I won't mention them by name, but there's a very large funding company that recently banned, I think like the top 8 traders on the leaderboard. It was like over 750K in payouts owed. Most people will know who it is. I'm not going to name who it is, but they're like the number one company. So what that tells me is they banned them for copy trading. They're all guerrilla trading strategy, one of the trading groups. They're all trading very similar, and they just banned them all because of the rules of copy trading. They're a huge company. If they were backing everyone, why wouldn't they just pay those people, right? Like, why wouldn't they? And they're clearly not. Yeah, the automated trading thing basically it opens the possibility up for people to do more copy trading, to people to use the high frequency trading bots that are able to do like arbitrage and just really like do high order amounts that are able to be in and out of the markets to make gains on these simulated conditions like extremely easily. A lot of people watching this probably know of those things. So yeah, the EA's just kind of raised the stakes on how much the prop firm has to manage risk. If we don't allow EAs, the risk is much lower because the copy trading doesn't exist. You have to manually trade, like copy your trades to somebody else. You know what I mean? So that's a much lower. And then EAs also, the right ones are actually, good, can have good systems. But there's a lot of bad EAs.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
How much discretion goes into like choosing who to back? Is it like an AI that chooses who to back, like just a risk model, or is there a lot of discretion that's involved?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it necessarily an AI. It's more so like a predictive model where we're feeding all of the data from MetaTrader into a model, and then we have you do what's called like feature engineering. So we have this is like not prop firm proprietary stuff, it's just like common stuff when it comes to programming. So there's hundreds of features, and some of these features might be how long do they hold a trade for, how much margin utilization, what sessions do they trade, how long have they had the funded account. Like there's hundreds of features, and all of those features then contribute to an overall risk score that we're then assigning the traders. We have used discretion in the past to try to back traders. It's not realistic, doesn't work. So it's really mostly systemized at this point now. And the goal for us is to get to a point where there is a machine learning model on top of the predictive model, which is then continuously it's almost like we're searching for our edge amongst this data set that we have. So
that's why using the EAs kind of makes it harder to basically put that model to work, because it's going to skew some of the numbers. It's going to make it hard to see who's profitable, who's not profitable. Or do the EAs just kind of create risk in the system just overall?
I think the EAs just create risk from a copy trading standpoint, because if we say we allow 600K in total funding, and then there's like one guy copy trading to 20 other people, that means that we're technically 6 million on that guy. So the stakes are much higher to be evaluating his trading data. If he's on one side of the market, it's going to cause a much larger loss to us, especially if we're not backing this guy.
Some of the non-technical traders are already about to check out, so let's kind of give them something. What's the biggest payout that you guys have had at the funded trader? What's been like the largest payout, a single payout?
Yeah,
that's gone out?
We've had some big payouts. Let me actually pull up real quick because we have like the whole channel with the largest payouts. So we've had a bunch over 100K.
And before he gives the answer, just take a guess in your head. What do you guys think is the highest payout that they've had?
Yeah, take a guess because it's probably a little higher than you think. So it's 203,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So one lady, shout out Sat, S-A-T. That's what she goes by. It's her nickname. We did a podcast with her, actually. It's on the YouTube. She was a former Wall Street trader. She went through some time. She said she lost millions of dollars in the 2008 crash. So she really was down. And then she found prop firms recently and has just been going in on everything. She's based in the US. Yeah, she's kind of more private, so I won't get too much into it, but there's a podcast with her. She made 203,000, absolute legend. She's so well spoken. Like, if you want to learn from someone, I know she does some teaching, but it's like more private. Like, she's excellent. Like, if you go listen to the podcast, like, it's like amazing. But yeah, it's biggest payout.
Well, that sounds like a great podcast.
Yeah.
Don't click out right now of this one, but go check it out right after we're done with this. Give me some interesting observations that you're seeing in the prop firm world, because after having talked to you even before this, I'm starting to realize that there's a lot of, there's a lot of things that, shouldn't be surprising at this point. The failure rate in trading is obviously very high. So when you see the failure rate in the phase 1 and phase 2, it's not that surprising. But I want to know what took you by surprise when you're going through this process? What kind of piqued your interest of like, you had no idea that the statistics looked like this in this specific area?
Yeah, I mean, listen, everyone gets in the business to make money, right? That's ultimately why I got into business, why I got into this business. I knew that the model was there, that we could make money. Ultimately, did I believe in the beginning that we would be able to make more money with the data than we have? Yeah, like I'm just honest about that. It's $1 billion question, and all the firms are working on it simultaneously, including the largest ones. It is where do we define the edge? Retail trading historically has no edge, right? It really doesn't have an edge, and we're trying to. And everyone we talk to, all the brokers we talk to, like when I first started this thing 2 years ago, I approached so many people, and everyone was like, "You're fucking crazy. Like this is not gonna work. Like I'm not gonna give you my broker terminal. Like whatever." And now all those same people are like, "Hey, we'll fly you out.
Get on our platform. Get on our platform. Yeah,
We'll fly you out and let's talk because you guys are leading the industry." So it's like, it's interesting. So yeah, I definitely thought that in the beginning we'd be able to kind of monetize the trading data, but that was a bit. I mean, listen, we didn't have the tools that we needed to. We took us several months to build the risk dashboard. Like it took us a long time to get to where we are now. And even now, we're still improving. Like, we recently hired a director of risk. We're hiring like senior traders. Like, we're still kind of moving in the direction that we need to go. So yeah. I mean, I want to just get to one thing. Like, guys, if you don't believe that you're ready for something, like, just fucking make it happen. Like, we got this thing started. We bandaged a bunch of things together. The first dashboards we were using was FX Book Live. We were connecting to FX Book Live, and then now we obviously have our own custom dashboard. So it's like, yeah, just get started. The goal for us is, listen, Citadel, which most of you guys may know, they're a large hedge fund. They purchase data from credit card companies. They purchase data from Robinhood, right? They're using that data and running models on it to then find an edge and moving their money. We're essentially just looking to do the same thing. How can we define an edge from this unique data set that we have to start a fund? That's the goal of all of this, realistically.
So you're going to be transitioning basically from the prop side over to high frequency trading, or you're still going to keep the prop side open, but to use all the data that you have to be able to build something bigger?
Yeah, we want to, I look at the funding right now as a product. So if we were like an institution, right now we're only an institution that offers one product, right? We're offering the funding. We want to expand the product offerings, whether that gets into becoming an exchange, becoming a futures broker, right? Something. We want to offer more products. Maybe it's discretionary betting. Like it's just how do we grow the platform and evolve it into being bigger than it is now? And is that necessarily the funded trader? I don't know. It could be something else, the name of the platform, but I do think that the long-term play is to just continue to offer different products like in the financial industry. And obviously there's a lot of legalities behind doing all that.
So there's a lot of companies coming up, which kind of speaks to that legality issue. There's a ton of companies coming up now. Just based on like the back end numbers, are you seeing more people enter the Forex space, or is it basically flat, or is it declining?
Yeah, I think what's amazing about what's going on right now with the prop industry is it's certainly expanding the Forex. And it's not necessarily just Forex, right? Because you can trade indexes, you can trade commodities as well. So it's not necessarily just Forex, but I think traditionally it's just been like Forex trading CFDs, and everyone's just like, oh, Forex is kind of a scam, unregulated brokers, this and that. But now since it's like, no, you can get funded, you could trade crypto, you could trade indexes, you could trade commodities, you could trade some of them, you could trade stocks, currently not on our platform, and then obviously you can trade Forex. So what I'm seeing is, even though we're expanding our suite of businesses and prop firms, the industry is actually just aggregately expanding as a whole. Like looking at the leading website in the space right now, last month I believe they had 3.3 million in website views, and then this month they had 4 million in website views, right? And TradingView has 120 million a month. right? So it's like there's a lot of room to grow.
Yeah, the TradingView folks have seen a massive, massive spike in users. And then even last year at the summit, when Pierce came and spoke, the general manager, he was telling us about some of the trends and what people were looking at on the platform. It was a lot more Forex, it was a lot more crypto that started to bring people into the space. So I think it's very interesting how much the space is growing, even though people thought it peaked back in 2020 during the pandemic. They're like, oh, everyone got into this space because they were sitting at home. But
Yeah.
now, 2 or 3 years out, people are still getting into the industry. I think that's awesome. So, if someone's a trader listening to this, what should they be looking for in either a broker or a prop firm to know that they're reputable and to know that they can trust this platform?
Yeah, I mean, a broker is a whole other kind of situation here because there's obviously unregulated brokers, there's regulated brokers, and listen, I'm not too sure which one's good and which one's bad at this point. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on with the brokerage space, so I'll leave that kind of on the side. I think the main thing to look for in the prop firm game, and as a trader, as someone who, when I started with FTMO, they were not like popular. Like they were not trusted. Everyone was like, "What is this? Like, do you get paid?" Like, you know what I mean? Like it was like, and I love risk, so I'm just like, fuck it. If there's a potential to get paid, I'm signing up. Like I'm in, right? So yeah, what to look for, guys, if you're looking for a prop firm right now. I mean, definitely check out the Trust Pilot, join their Discord. Try to find if they have videos of the owners speaking about the firm, not just like marketing the firm, right? You want to hear directly from the people that are involved in the day-to-day management of the company. It's a beautiful thing that you can even get that experience. It's not just with the funded trader you can get that. There's other companies available now that do that I'm not involved with, and I think that it's amazing because that's what's most important. It's like you're buying a stock. Like you want to do some research on like who's running this thing, right? So yeah, look at who's the executive team, who's the management team. Join the Discord. Obviously, look over like the website, the challenges. Like make sure everything's simple and makes sense. I think a ton of rules and stuff is gonna be a bit hindrance on. I mean, obviously there are a lot of rules, but I'm saying like rules that don't necessarily make sense to you. Hit up their support. Try to get answers. If it still doesn't make sense, it's probably a bit sus. Right. So yeah, just do your research. There's a lot of things to look for, but just make sure they're paying out and make sure people aren't complaining about that and it's not gonna potentially affect you.
All right, perfect. Angelo, first, I want to say thank you for being transparent. Thank you for really kind of giving out a lot of this information to folks at home so they can make more informed decisions. So first and foremost, thank you for that. And thank you for having us on the show and kind of letting us kind of pick your brain about this stuff.
Yeah.
Last but not least, before we wrap up the podcast, is there any advice that you can, I feel like I'm asking the teacher for the answers to the test. Is there any advice you can give to traders about how they can improve their chances of being successful on these platforms? So if someone wants to go get a funded trader challenge, or is there any advice that you can give to folks for how to get better results?
Yeah, I mean, listen. It comes back. I don't want to keep things simple, but it comes back to like two things, right? Everyone that's successful has a plan. They have a legitimate strategy that's back tested. They have data on. They're continuing to collect data on, right? They have the defined edge that they're operating with, whether it's an EA, whether it's manual, discretionary. But most importantly, it's the psychology, right? These people hold themselves accountable. They journal. They put down their thoughts while they're in trades, right? Like they're systematically going about trading. It's boring to them. It's emotionless. It's just routine. It's mundane, right? So my advice to you guys is if you're super excited about prop firms, super excited about getting paid, super excited about this, like guys, it's whether it's prop firms or business. In business, we hit a milestone. I'm like, cool, what's the next goal? Like we're locked in, right? Unless I'm retiring. Like, you know what I'm saying? So don't get too excited. Practice neutral thinking. That will make you go much further in all this.
Incredible. So guys, this has been a masterclass. If you're a trader, you need to have a systematic approach towards your trading. You need to know your risk and really understand the risk of the activities you're being involved in. And you need to do the due diligence on these companies and firms that you're working with to make sure that you're with someone that you can trust. Angelo, thank you so much for sharing all this insight on this podcast. And we'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
Real quick, if you haven't heard about the FX Summit 2023 conference in Miami, make sure you guys grab your tickets, fxsummit2023.com. We'll make sure to see you there, June 9th to the 11th. Come learn from some of the best traders, investors, and crypto enthusiasts. We'll see you guys there.